Hello, everybody, and welcome into another episode of Around the Leagues with Brady B. I'm your host, Brady Bauer. And the last two episodes, we've had some technical difficulties on my end. We're using a new format, and I haven't saved it right, but this week it's going to go down right. So we will have new episodes on Thursday, which is a little disappointing because I really wanted to talk about and have for Thursday the 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock time slot, the Super Bowl preview, so I can give you guys a little tease of what to expect in the big game because it's only 3 days away at this point. But since I did not have that video or that episode uploaded in time, unfortunately, I'm just gonna have to recap it again, and it's gonna come a week later. So none of the stuff I say will really be helpful to you guys, but if it's right, at least you know you're at the right spot to listen to premier sports coverage, because I do dive into like the deep analytics of the Super Bowl and what to expect between the offenses and defenses of each team. With that being said, I think we can start with how we even got to where we are. The Patriots versus the Seahawks in the Super Bowl again. The Patriots have had a crazy couple of years. I'll give a quick breakdown for everybody that might have forgotten the last 4 or 5 years that the Patriots have had. So I think the most important place to start is March 17th, 2020, and that is when Tom Brady, my GOAT, left the Patriots for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a wild moment in time because at this time everyone didn't know if Tom Brady was going to retire, if Bill Belichick was going to retire, what's going on with the Patriots, is their franchise ever going to be the same again? And it took some time for those questions to be answered because after the Patriots left, they did not have a quarterback. Their quarterback position was empty. They had no one to fill with it. So they decided to go with Cam Newton. For people that don't know Cam Newton, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the league during the 2010s. From 2013 to like 2016, that stretch, he was insane. If you don't remember the Panthers team that had him, Greg Olsen, Josh Norman, they had D'Angelo Williams. Was he on that team? The main running backs are copping away from me right now, but they had a great team. They went undefeated, and they had a good playoff run too, and then they lost to the Seahawks or the Broncos in the Super Bowl, but that's beside the point. After that season, Cam Newton kind of went through a little rough patch. He really didn't have the trust in the Panthers and the coaches staff anymore, so they didn't re-sign him, so he became a free agent. And that is when the Patriots signed him. They signed him to a 1-year deal, and everyone was like, what a better opportunity for him than go to one of the best organizations in the NFL. And at the time, I was the same way, and I think everyone had the same reaction, especially after the September 20th game of that season when Cam Newton went 30 of 44 for 397 yards, 1 passing touchdown, but he also added 9 carries for 47 yards and 2 touchdowns. Inside the red zone in this game against the Seahawks, he was absolutely electric. They ended up losing this game to the Seahawks 42-40, but it showed Patriots fans that even though Tom Brady's gone, they still have some hope at quarterback. But during that season, Cam Newton was diagnosed with COVID, and he went on to say that since that diagnosis, he was never the same again. He just didn't feel right physically, and as a running quarterback, he's going to rely on his legs a lot. And without like the respiratory to do that, it's not going to be a pretty sight for him. So that's when the QB controversy of New England really started. At this point, it was between Cam Newton, Brian Hoyer, who just happens to always find his way back to the Patriots, and Jarrett Stidham, which is super ironic during this time because obviously he was a quarterback that the Patriots faced in the AFC Championship game because Bo Nix got injured in the previous game. So it was kind of like a full circle moment for him. And I know some Patriots fans, actually I don't know if I can speak for them, but one of them I listened to on this podcast really believed in Stidham just because he has the feeling that if you ever step foot in the Patriots building, you're going to get that greatness of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick to rub off on you. But that wasn't the case with Jarrett Stidham because he wasn't even able to beat Cam Newton out before OTAs even started. They had Cam Newton slated as the starting position at this time. So COVID destroyed Cam's career, and then after the season, because nothing really went well for them the rest of that season with Brian Hoyer and quarterback, and Cam Newton battling his insides with COVID. So to add disaster to the organization, in the following spring on April 12th, 2021, Julian Edelman, one of the best receivers during the Patriots run, retired. That whole season was like a nothing burger. They drafted Mac Jones. Quarterbacks need time to develop, so we'll just skip past this year and go right into the next offseason, a year and 6 days from when Julian Edelman retired on April 18, 2022. The Patriots offseason programs began with no official announcements of who their coaching staff is going to be besides Coach Belichick and his son as defensive coordinator. Steve Belichick is the defensive coordinator. So the offseason begins, and then shortly into it, Belichick assigns lifelong defensive coordinator Matt Patricia to replace Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. If you guys aren't familiar with this, so Matt Patricia was with the Patriots pretty much his whole coaching career. Has always been a defensive guy, and then during this season, Bill Belichick's first sense of being senile came into effect, and he made Matt Patricia his offensive coordinator with no offensive play calling experience. So that's a disaster right off the box. And then we also have him promoting Joe Judge, who just got done in a terrible stint as a Giants head coach, and made him the quarterback coach. Another sign, because Joe Judge has never coached quarterbacks. He's always been a special teams coach when he wasn't a head coach. So that's another questionable decision that Bill Belichick made. And, Bill Belichick never really was under fire for these decisions because he has been the GM during his whole tenure with the Patriots. So he's made good acquisitions, obviously, because you have Tom Brady and you won all the rings with him. So I don't know what happened at this point, if it was like a disagreement between front office and coach that just resulted in this to happen. But I think there's more to the story because Bill Belichick loves to win. Why wouldn't he want to hire the best coordinator available instead of hiring someone that he just knows? So there's a lot that can go into this. Bill Belichick also may not trust the NFL. I feel like, I don't know, the Belichick, Brady had the Spygate, the Flakegate, so that is going to linger with them forever, as you see with the Hall of Fame ballot voting coming up. So I wonder if that is another factor. Coaches didn't want to come here because maybe they thought that they would get lumped into that same category, or maybe it's just the NFL was blocking these coaches from going there, because I know that's a common thing that happened. Maybe some unstable stuff were going. What if an offensive coordinator from one of the top teams at the time, not the Rams, because Sean McVay called his own offense, but I don't have it in front of me who was good at the time, but let's say the 49ers, I guess it could be used as an example. Let's say because Mike McDaniels was calling their offense at that time. So what if they hired Mike McDaniels, just give him a big contract? A lot of question marks in that scenario. So October 2nd, 2022 is just this season is just something else for them. Their quarterback, they can't get the quarterback right. They have veteran quarterback Brian Hoyer start their Week 4 road game against the Packers. He left the game early on with a concussion, so rookie quarterback Bailey Zappi from Western Kentucky came in and rallied the Patriots, and he won them the game. He finished the game 10 of 15 for 99 yards and 1 touchdown, and people started getting on the Zappi train. Even Matthew Judon, the highest paid DN at the time that was on the Patriots, said, "I just want to give a huge shout out to Zappi." And this just makes me think how fast people turn on quarterbacks. We saw it with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, that continued to revitalize their career when they went elsewhere. So I think it'd be the same with Mac Jones, because we saw when he was playing in San Francisco, while he wasn't lighting up the stat sheet, he was helping them win football games, and is a big reason why they stood afloat and got into the playoffs when Brock Purdy was out. But with that being said, Mac Jones didn't play well for them. if you think back to his two funniest moments with the Patriots, one of them was when got hurt. He got like a double ankle injury. So then they sent him off the field with two trainers, and he's just hopping with like no legs, like being held up by both of them. He's just got tears coming out of his eyes. Looks like a little kid who just got like sent to the principal's office, and he's trying to fight the pain back. So he's going down, and then the Patriots don't have a traditional locker room. To get to their locker room, you have to go down these stairs that are behind the benches. So you just see him going down the stairs in immense pain in front of the fans. And Patriots fans at that time are just thinking about the good old days of Tom Brady. And then if these things couldn't get any better, the 2023 season, we don't even really have to talk about, because it was another season that was terrible for them that resulted in them getting a third pick in the draft. And in this offseason, the January 11th to be exact, Bill Belichick and the Patriots parted ways, and Gerard Mayo was hired as the next head coach of the team, which he was the head coach in waiting. They signed him as a position coach the previous couple seasons just for him to get the experience, but that experience never helped him out because he had Drake May as his quarterback but refused to play him until the last 3 games of the season. Before that, he was playing Jacoby Brissett because he thought Jacoby Brissett would give the better team a better chance to win. But Drake May was showing flashes when he played. I remember, obviously, I was going to be critical of him because he was in the same draft class as Caleb Williams, and that's what everyone talks about, is those quarterbacks. So I was hoping for Drake May to flop when he got into the game. But he didn't. He looked poised. He was able to move the pocket. He was able to scramble when he needed to. He made great plays, not like a veteran quarterback, but, he's a rookie quarterback playing in a system where the best receivers he has is DeMario Douglas, who was a rookie at the time, and 2 tight ends in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. And the questionable offensive line, starting with their right guard, Cole Strange, who was drafted by Belichick, which was another knock at him during his final tender as Patriots GM. So Drake May wasn't in great position, and as we saw, the season resulted in them going 4-13 and firing Gerard Mayo after 1 year. This firing resulted in them hiring Mike Vrabel, who was a sought-after coach by a lot of teams in the league, especially me and my brother and my dad. We really wanted Mike Vrabel. We even went as much so to making a bet with my cousin's husband about the Patriots record for the following year. My cousin's husband was set on the fact that Mike Vrabel isn't really a good coach, and that the only reason why he was good in Tennessee was because the players around him got him there. And me and my brother and my dad pushed back and said, there's no way. We think the Patriots can be a lot better with Mike Vrabel and Drake May, bringing back Josh McDaniels. My cousin stood pat on his feelings that would not be the case and that the Bills would win the division again. At the time, I wasn't as sold on it as my brother and my dad because they're just more confident in those takes. But they were all in on that, and I was questioning. I'm I don't know. Josh Allen is the reigning MVP of the league. Patriots have a lot of holes to fill, but soon in the free agency, those needs started getting filled. They've got Christian Barrymore, the defensive tackle, also Milton Williams. They added defensive secondary help with Carlton Davis. They got Stephon Diggs. So they started building a great team around Drake May, which obviously helped. So we made a bet $1 to win 10. I bet 10, so I won $100, which was a good profit. And I didn't even see that. I totally forgot that the season was going to come and close. And I woke up one day and I see the money in my account. So shout out to my cousin for paying that. Shout out to my brother and my dad for having the wherewithal to make that bet in the first place. So now hopping into the Super Bowl game, it's going to be a rematch of the Super Bowl that we all remember very well, where the Patriots got down to the 1 yard, or the Seahawks got down to the 1 yard line, and instead of running the ball to their all-pro running back, they passed the ball. There's many questions for why they did this. Were they trying to get Russell Wilson MVP? Did they want him to win it over Marshawn Lynch? A lot of questions can be held, but even past that, it's just something you never do. Now you see when teams get down to the 1 yard line, the question between the fans watching is, are they going to be the Patriots and pass the ball? because after that, we know Malcolm Butler jumped a route and got the pick six and gave Tom Brady ring number 6. So, yeah, there's that. It's a rematch of that game that was one of the best games we might have ever saw in the Super Bowl. And looking at it from the Seahawks point of view, the Seahawks have been slept on all season. After every big win, people would be like, oh, they'll come back down to earth, kind of like how people looked at Indiana in the college football world. But Sam Darnold continued to do the unprecedented by winning 14 games in back-to-back seasons with 2 different teams. In the previous year, he led the Minnesota Vikings to a 14-3 record where they fizzled out the end, but still was a major factor in them getting that far. And he followed it up with 13 wins with the Seattle Seahawks in 2025, also winning the division. My thoughts on Sam Darnold, I don't really think the Seahawks are good, and that all stems back to Sam Darnold. I think their defense is great. Let's get that straight and foremost. Their defense is outstanding. Sam Darnold could hold them back a little bit. And with Christian Gonzalez on JSN, the safety just had to play deep to avoid Rashid Shaheed on the deep shots, and I think the Patriots will be fine. The Patriots' defense have been playing good lately. Outside zones are the main schemes of runs that they do. 50% of the percent of their offensive plays this season have been run plays. The Seahawks, that is, and New England has limited their opponents to just 41% of run plays this season. So that's a huge drop-off between the amount of times the Seahawks run the ball and the amount of times that the Patriots defend. So it's going to be interesting to see if those numbers like align up and like cancel each other out, which would have the Seahawks having to change their offensive game plan. And another thing is that the Seahawks play zone defense 80% of the time, which is third most in the NFL. The Seahawks will have to change this strategy because Drake May led the NFL in 2025 in completion rate, yards per attempt, and passer rating when facing zone coverage. His performances against zone defense have remained his strong suit, often compensating for times when the Patriots have struggled running the ball. I think the Patriots will come out on top. I just think, there's been a lot of disrespect to the Patriots lately. Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft not getting into the Hall of Fame. I think that all has something to do. I think the football gods are going to repay them and help them win this championship and then give Robert Kraft even more fuel to use at his Hall of Fame inductee ceremony. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Super Bowl talk because obviously it's going to be over by the time you guys listen to this episode. But I thought it would be fun if we were to go through the Super Bowl bets that I'm going to be placing. Shout out to DraftKings. Everyone bet responsibly. Use the gambling line. Call the 1-800 number if you're having problem gambling. But yeah, if you're keeping track, so we're gonna release this episode this Thursday after the Super Bowl, and we'll go through on the next episode after that how good I did on these predictions. So my first bet is going to be a fun bet. It's the jersey number of the first touchdown score under 10.5. It's a plus 120 bet, and the bet itself is self-explanatory. The person who scores the first touchdown's number has to be lower than the number 11. It could be 10 and anything lower. So when you think about this, Kenneth Walker is number 9 for the Seahawks. That's the only player on the Seahawks that will be able to score for me. Unless I lose my bet. Patriots have a lot more options with Stephon Diggs, Kayshon Boutte, and Pop Douglas. Pop Douglas is number 3, Kayshon Boutte is number 9, and Stephon Diggs is number 8. Those are 3 of their top receivers right there that could score the first touchdown for them, and that would win me their bet. I don't hate that at all for the Patriots, but the only person I feel like I have to worry about is Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, and Ramondre Henderson. Or Henderson, whatever his first name is, I forget. Yeah, but the Seahawks side is more risky because I only can see Kenneth Walker being the only one to score. Another bet I like to do in all Super Bowls since I've been betting is this one is a little freaky. It's over 2.5 players to throw a pass at plus 160. Obviously, you have 2 built in with Sam Darnold and Drake May. and not wishing for injuries, but if one of them does get hurt, then their backup will go in, and that's also like a guaranteed. And both of the quarterbacks have been a little shaken up, injury-wise, going into this Super Bowl. Even though they have a lot of time, and I don't think that will be a factor. You never know. One weird hit on the previous injury could affect the player. And also injuries aside, another reason why I like this is if you follow like the football pages, there is videos of Cooper Kupp practicing throwing the ball with his gloves off, like one glove off in a formation that the Seahawks were running. So that could be literally free money. And then we have another one that I'm going to be betting is a successful 2-point conversion. Yes, at plus 300. Statistical game analytics are bigger than ever in the sport of football. Teams are always trying to get the edge if that's going for 2, deciding when not to go for 2. But I could see it definitely happening in this game, especially Octopus is a bet that you could bet where the player is to score and get the 2-point conversion. So I think they are expecting this to happen because it's in the prop books. It's happened in a lot of games this season in the playoff games. So I think I'm feeling good about this one as well. This is the ultimate hater bet, and it's just inspiration from my guy PFT commentator over at Barstool and part of my take. But he said the bet he didn't say, but a couple years ago he did for a Doink 2 happen at no, but I'm gonna do a Doink 2 happen at yes at plus 600. The game is outside, so the ball is gonna be moving more than if it was in a stadium. So I think this could be another good bet. All these are plus value. The plus 600, I feel like that's just so high, and I feel like it's a high risk, low reward situation. With that being said, I'm gonna move on to the NBA league part of this podcast. And it is the NBA trade deadline. The best time for any NBA fan in the past 5 years, the NBA trade deadlines have been crazy. Anything you could happen. Kevin Durant's been traded. James Harden's been traded. The list goes on and on. Donovan Mitchell gets traded. Trade deadlines are always going to produce some sort of entertainment for NBA fans. And this one is no different because there were a lot of trades that were made, some big, some smaller, some just made to get salary cap dumped. But besides that, let's go through some of these trades. Starting off with the outlier of these trade talks, when Trae Young got traded to the on January 9th, when Trae Young got traded to the Washington Wizards for CJ McCollum and Corey Kispert. Obviously, we knew the Hawks and Trae Young were in trade talks before this trade was finalized. I don't think he was going to have a lot of pick value back, so getting a young player in Corey Kispert, who was previously paid to a nice team-friendly deal, is helpful for the Hawks because they just gave up Luke Kennard in another deal. So they get a shooter back, and they get a veteran presence in CJ McCollum to hopefully help them make a push into the play-in and potentially into the first round of the playoffs. It's just funny, Washington is a place where players go to die. When you look at the players they've acquired, they've gotten Jordan Poole, CJ McCollum, Kyle Kuzma, and Chris Middleton. All these players besides CJ McCollum are question marks outside of the basketball court. Jordan Poole was somewhat to an extent of a locker room problem in Golden State. He was able to enrage Draymond so much that he got punched in the face. And if you follow closely, Draymond Green is always getting into problems, and he's never punched a player on his team in the face, but this was the first time he did it, so Jordan Poole must have done something extreme to get him that aggravated. And also on Jordan Poole's end, he's just always been subject to criticism. In his last playoff series before being shipped out of Golden State, he took a 60-foot three-point shot with 2 seconds left. It's never a shot you're going to take when Steph Curry's on your team, so I don't know what he was thinking about that. And then the Trae Young saga with the Hawks. I mean, he had the Trae Young career. It was awesome, but a lot of it was held up by the run that got him to the conference finals in 2021 when he went into New York and beat them in a playoff series and did, the choking sign to them to get the fans mad. And that led to the F. Trae Young chants outside the whole stadium. That's where, like, the Bing Bong thing came from. Side Talk, that's the channel that did it. Everyone on Side Talk was screaming F. Trae Young. No one liked Trae Young at that time. He's still kind of annoying, but that was his tender in Atlanta, that one playoff run. Besides that, there was a lot of hoping and praying that they would get back to that same place. 3-team trades in the NBA are so annoying because you see your team in the Shams tweet and you get all excited, jumping up and down, believing your team got a solid player. And that was me when this trade broke. It said the Cavs are trading DeAndre Hunter to the Kings for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. The Bulls found their way into this trade and walked away with Dario Saric and two future second-round picks, which are equivalent to a bag of sour cream and onions chips that you can find at your local vending machine. Because throughout the past 3 years, if you're watching a playoff game, you'll see Saric on a contending team's bench. While this may sound nice that he has championship experience, the only bad thing is he isn't actually playing in these games. He's just on the bench being a certified just designated clapper, high fiver. I'm not going to be too hung up on this accusation because we got him, and I'll explain shortly, but he was dealt to another team right away, which is extremely common in the NBA. Getting traded to one team, and then before you even get your bags packed, you're getting traded to another team. Or you get cut by that team you get traded to, where you get the chance to sign as a free agent, which is, honestly, some players respect that, and I respect organizations for doing that. It's kind of like undrafted free agents in the NFL. After the draft, it gives them a chance to sign with a team that will fit their play style better. And it's not a trade deadline, like I said earlier, without James Harden being in conversations. It came out earlier in the week that he wanted to be moved. I guess he was just not showing up to the Clippers games on the West Coast trip that they're on. They're in Arizona. Instead of going to the Suns game, he left the team and went to an Arizona State basketball game, which is very odd. The history of James Harden, he's demanded a trade from Brooklyn to Philly, and then when he got to Philly, he did not want to be there anymore and did not re-sign with them, and ultimately ended up in LA where everyone thought he wanted to be for the longest time. Because he is a partier, he loves his men and gentlemen clubs, so there's a lot of nightlife out there that would suit him. But after 2 years, they move on from him again, and the trade was broken. The news broke that James Harden was in fact traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers in exchange for Darius Garland and a future second-round pick. Darius Garland not getting a first-round pick is kind of crazy, but it's for James Harden, so that makes sense. It kind of cancels it out. This move, I think, benefits the Cavs more because they now have 3 reliable scoring options going into the final stretch of the season with Donovan Mitchell, James Harden, and Dennis Schroeder. Then Donovan Mitchell has shown that he can bring his game to the next level in his playoffs. Even go back to his Utah days, he was averaging like 40-plus points a game. But it's hard when you're the only pure scorer on the Cavs roster. Now they have more guard depth to go along with their already solid starting lineup. And this move gives the Clippers a clear identity to possibly start rebuilding because this team they assembled full of veteran players started going downhill really quick. It started with Chris Paul and Ty Lue fighting at the practices and was sent home from a road trip. And now it's going with Harden not demanding a trade, but asking for a trade and it being obliged to very quickly. So I think there's a lot of stuff going down in LA. And then the next move could have been Kawhi being dealt, or maybe he'll just retire because I don't think Kawhi is going to go anywhere outside of LA. I think his family's there, and as we all know, he's not really a outgoing guy, so I think it'll be hard for him to start somewhere else once again. Another huge trade that took place was the Memphis Grizzlies finally blowing it up and trading Jaren Jackson, Jock Lindell, John Kochar, Vince Williams to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Walter Clayton Jr., who you might remember from his March Madness National Championship run for Florida last year, Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, and Gordon Jiang, and 3 future first-round picks. The main parts of the trade obviously being Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walter Clayton, and the 3 first-round picks. Utah might actually be saying, let's build with 3 big interiors with Laurie, Jaren Jackson, and Walker Kessler. not a terrible idea. We have seen this work in the past with big lineups. Like the Cavs have been good the last 3 years with these lineups. And I would love for the Jazz to add more guard play before the deadline ends. I did get that wish when they traded for Lonzo Ball, but he was shortly waived thereafter. So Keontae George is going to be their main ball handler right now, which is not it's not an ideal situation because he's not a playmaking guard. He's more of a scoring guard. So I hope they get that figured out very soon. Maybe it'll come in the draft, or maybe it will come in free agency. I spoke earlier about my thoughts about Dario Saric leaving because he was likely going to be traded again, and sure enough, he was. He was in a deal that sent him and Kevin Huerter to the Pistons in exchange for Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley, another three-way trade that involved the Timberwolves second-round pick. The Bulls end up with Jaden Ivey here. Jaden Ivey's had a terrible leg injury last July. Like we just passed a year since it happened. He was able to work back, get the surgery he needed, but at the start of this season, he began getting discomfort in his leg again and had to get another procedure to clean it up. With the history of guard like Derrick Rose, who had a lot of knee and leg injuries, trading for a guard who has knee injuries has only shown some flashes is a very risky move. But he is a free agent in the offseason, so we have the final say to potentially match any offer that he signs if he signs elsewhere. And hours after trading for Jaden Ivey, the Bulls make another move by trading Nikola Vucevic to the Boston Celtics for Anthony Simons. This is a trade that Bulls fans have been asking for years. Nikola Vucevic value is at an all-time low. We could have traded him 2.5 years ago and gotten a way better value, but we just stuck with him and ended up paying him, and it was just a whole disaster. So I'm so happy that Vooch is finally off the team. I've seen Bulls fans that are like, oh, at least he went to a contender. Like, I don't give a crap what team he went to. He was terrible for our team, and I don't wish him the best. Like, if we won something with him, sure, I would say, hey, man, go win another ring. But he didn't help us. So if he goes to another team, that's just going to be a slap in our face, another reminder of what could have been when we had that team with DeMar, Zach, Lonzo, and Vooch, and Alex Caruso coming off the bench, among others. And Anthony Simons is a fine player. He's literally just another example of Kobe White. And then if we go on, I'm going to explain the next trade. We ended up trading Kobe White to the Hornets for Colin Sexton and Kuzman Dang and 2 future second-round picks. I mean, it's cool. Colin Sexton, Kobe White, Anthony Simons are literally all the same exact player. So I'm like, we're trying to make lateral moves instead of contending moves, or moves that are like downright a downgrade. But these lateral moves can potentially keep us in the play-in spot and not get any of these great draft prospects that are coming up this year. We were saving money and trying to tank, but if we did it a year early, we did it a year too late. Like I said, if we wanted to receive Givey, we should have traded Vooch right away and go into full build, be around Josh and Modest. I started the free agency with the news of a young trade and how the Wizards are being a dead island of players. This trade also helps my theory because Shams announced that the Mavs are trading Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, and D'Angelo Russell and Dante Exum. Anthony Davis, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum, all the type of players I just described going to the Wizards. They're not good off. They're okay on the court, but off the court they just are always in the news. Anthony Davis can never stay healthy. D'Angelo Russell literally recorded his teammate committing or announcing that he was cheating on his girlfriend. And then Dante Exum has been a nobody since he was drafted by the Jazz in 2019. I mean, cool for the Mavericks getting Chris Middleton, I guess, and AJ Johnson. The 2 first-round picks and the 3 second-round picks is really all that matters in this trade, to be honest. Like, seeing that kind of aggravates me because the Bulls couldn't get any first-round picks for any of the guys we traded. Going back to Vooch, Zach, DeMar, Lonzo, Caruso, Kobe, Io. No first-round picks for any of them. We could have even put them together in a trade and done something like that. A head scratcher trade that I got very upset about at first was the Thunder trading for Jared McCain in exchange for a 2026 Rockets first-round pick and 2 future second-round picks. The Thunder have hella picks, so the picks don't really matter to me. But using it for a player like Jared McCain is kind of what matters. I would have rather us see go after someone else. I mean, I don't know. It could be a good move. He's on the second year of his 4-year contract. Player option after the third. So it's a high risk, low reward. But I would have liked to see a center need get filled there, like a Nicholas Claxton for the Thunder, and just had one of our young guards like Dylan Jones continue to develop off the bench and be that scorer that we need. I'm not excited about this move, so I'm gonna have to see it in live action before I make my final judgment on it. Obviously, Giannis is the biggest piece of the free agency puzzle right now. A lot of these trades could be made for salary space right now. The teams in the running, according to Shams, are the Heat, Knicks, Warriors, and Timberwolves. The Bucks want players, young players in return, so they have the last call in it, obviously. The Knicks don't have much young talent to end. First-round picks are limited for them, and they'll likely finish with a draft pick later in the first round, so that won't be too enticing for the Bucks. The Timberwolves would have picks and players in the package, same with the Heat. But the Timberwolves are the ones that are the most intriguing because they made so much salary cap room trading the guys that they did trade. And then the Heat can make anything happen, but I don't know if Giannis really fits their timeline because they just got done with Jimmy Butler, and I feel like they wanted to actually start young and build around Tyler and Bam in a way, or maybe one of the two. So I don't see Giannis going there. The Warriors somehow made the most sense before they made the trade for Kristaps because they had pieces like Kuminga and Moody and Will Richards still available, and they've been saving it for a time like this because they used some prospects for Jimmy, but they still have people left. Usually there's a winner of the deadline, but at the time I'm making this has been made the night of the moves. Nothing really stood out to me so far. The major one is probably the Cavs getting a top 70 player, 5 player of all time. I just really think this is going to help their offense in the postseason. Yeah, so that's how I felt about those. And then here are the trades that happened this morning, December 5th. The trade deadline ended at 2, so I have everything up to date by now. So Buddy Hield and Jonathan Kuminga were traded to the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Kristaps Porzingis. Jonathan Kuminga has been trade bait for 3 years now. Even when he was drafted, he was pretty much just drafted as trade bait because they could have used that trade in the draft to get a different player, but they drafted Kuminga and stood with him. But it was time for both teams to part ways, and the writing was on the wall. The Buddy Hield move is just to make money work, but I feel like Buddy Hield and the Warriors were just always beefing. There was an audio that came out when Jimmy Butler tore his ACL, and Buddy was telling him to get his ass up, and Jimmy was talking back to him. I don't know if it was all just buddy banter, but it definitely could have been taken in a different light. And then a great move for here are the Bulls trades, by the way. So here you got 3 of them that are going to be coming right in a row. Dalen Terry got passed around like a blunt in the span of 8 hours. He was traded to the Knicks for Gershon Yabusele. Then the Pelicans for Jose Alvarado. The Knicks did a good job here. They flipped Dalen Terry, or they flipped Gershon Yabusele for Jose Alvarado, who showed more promise in both of those players. Good trade for the Knicks. The Bulls traded Ayo DeSumo and Julian Phillips to the Timberwolves for Rob Dillingham, Leonard Miller, and 4 second-round picks. It's going to be sad saying goodbye to Ayo because he's a U of I alum. I've seen him since high school. And then Julian Phillips was a lottery pick that has done absolutely nothing. So I'm glad to get him out of here, save us some money. And the Bulls, like I said earlier about the first-round picks, we've gotten no first-round picks. But we have added 9 second-round picks in the past week. So we have 14 total right now, which is way too many second-round picks. A great trade that I liked was the Clippers and Pacers agreeing to trade Ursia Zubac to the Pacers in exchange for Benedict Mathurin, Isaiah Jackson, 2 first-round picks, and second-round pick. Good trade for both teams. Benedict Mathurin, he's still a work in progress, I would say. there's too many bodies in the Pacers in terms of guards for him to get consistent playing time. But now on the Clippers, he's going to be with Darius Garland and Kawhi in that 2 role, which could be very nice for him because he won't have to worry about defense as much because they have Kawhi, an excellent defender, and Darius Garland as well. So he could actually like be hidden in the defense there. And the Bulls trade, when the Bulls traded Kobe White, this is what really got me mad. When the Bulls traded Kobe White, we received Ousmane Niang he was on the Thunder, but was traded to the Hornets in part of the 3-team deal that got Jared McCain to the Thunder. But Ousmane Niang would have been the best player we got at the deadline, and we traded him for Nick Richards, literally a center that we really don't need. Literally one of the only good pieces we got. For a bum-ass backup center who's going to be a starter on our team since we don't have any centers. You see the aggravation. It just doesn't make any sense. I wish we had a different organization. Like, we need a new front office. We need a whole lot of things. And the last thing I'm going to end on is Cam Thomas being waived by the Nets. I mean, god dang, I was so happy for Cam Thomas. I thought he was the next pure scorer of the league. I mean, I guess getting out of Brooklyn helps him maybe go to a more structured team, so that maybe that could help him out in the long run. But I was so happy. I had so much promise for him, and it's just gone. It's just he might get forgotten and be in like the European League in no time. But that's NBA free agency, everyone. To my surprise, Giannis did not get traded. I think Giannis is the type of guy that wants a goodbye tour for the team that he's been with for his whole career. And I feel like if he got traded, it just would have been a weird ending for his time in Milwaukee. So it's gonna be a summer full of trade talks. I mean, the NBA, maybe they just didn't let them trade him because, no, we need you to wait until free agency so we have something to talk about and news to break in the summer. That's going to be it for me tonight, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Around the Leagues with Brady B. Next week, we're going to go through the bets and see if any of them came to fruition. And I will look back on the trades that happened at the deadline before we record the next episode. I know I said last week we would talk college basketball, but this little delay gives me more time to get caught up and give more information for you guys next week with my college basketball analysis, since we're going to be heading right into the conference tournaments. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at Around the Leagues with Brady B. Enjoy your weekend and enjoy the Super Bowl.